Yeah, good morning, students. So welcome back our YouTube channel, The Guide, The Knowledge Hub. So this is your Venkat Ramna. So earlier classes, that means in the last two classes, we already discussed about our lesson and the major topic in the life, that is called photosynthesis. So far we already discussed regarding that how the photosynthesis process is going on and what are the factors which are important for the photosynthesis and how the factors are involved in the photosynthesis. All these topics we already explained you in the last two classes. Now in this class we are going to explain how this photosynthesis process is being done by the help of all these factors, whether it is external or internal factors. That means, in other words, in biological terms, what we call this one is mechanism of photosynthesis. So mechanism of photosynthesis. So what is the mechanism of photosynthesis? You know that photosynthesis is nothing but a regular process which is a photochemical reaction which forms or which prepares the food items by trapping solar energy. That we know, everybody. So everybody knew that photosynthesis is nothing but preparation of food items by using sunlight. But how this sunlight is absorbing and how this sunlight converts into food, that is a process. That process we can explain you in this mechanism of photosynthesis topic. So in this mechanism of photosynthesis lesson, I would like to explain you, before I am going to explain this mechanism, I am going to explain you regarding that photosynthesis is nothing but a regular and continuous process in the life. So because of a continuous process it is having, that means it's nothing, it's occurs in 2 steps or 3 steps or several steps in that mechanism. In other words, we can say that if photosynthesis process is being done, means we can say that photosynthesis process is being done with the help of external and internal factors that we know. So in this mechanism some steps are there. The first step is light reaction. That means light reaction is nothing but light presence reaction. That means presence of light, what the factors, that means what the process is being done, what the process is involving in the photosynthesis, that all these things we can explain here. That is called as light reaction or light dependent reaction or light absorption. That is called first step in mechanism of photosynthesis. So what is the light reaction? Means light presence. Light presence means at what time light is present? Yes, daytime. So in the daytime there is a light, that everybody knew that in the daytime there is a light because of sunlight. So because of sunlight there is a light reaction is going on in the daytime, and in the night time there is a light independent reaction, that is nothing but dark reaction because the light is absent. So the second step is light absent reaction or dark reaction, or other words light independent reaction. I am going to explain you very clearly. This mechanism of photosynthesis we can explain you in 2 steps. One is light reaction and the second one is light absent reaction, that is nothing but dark reaction. So we can go for light reaction. So what is light reaction? My point is, what is light reaction? Light reaction means there is a light plays a crucial role in this particular reactions, that is called light reaction. Apart from that, in other words, whenever the light is present, some process or some several chemical reactions are going on, that is also called as light reactions. So light reactions, I already told you, light reactions are initiated by light. So that is why it is called as photo reaction also, or photochemical phase. So in this light reaction, what has to do, what process is going on, means we can understand light has to absorb first. Light has to absorb. So light has to absorb by whom? Plants only. Plants can absorb the light. But how the plants can absorb the light? My question is, how the plants are absorbing the light? That means plants having a special system for capturing the light. That systems are called as LHC. What we call LHC. LHC is nothing but light harvesting complexes. Light harvesting complexes means in the light reaction, light has to be captured, or light has to be captured. So for capturing of light, that means in the leaves there is a special system is there. That system is called as light harvesting complexes. Okay, before that, where these light reactions are going on? Light reaction, I already told you when I am explaining you that a topic of chloroplast structure. In the chloroplast structure, it has a three membranous structure that I already told you. In the third layer, we know that the third layer means some of the thylakoid membranes are there here. So these thylakoid membranes are together formed as a sac-like structures. So these sac-like structures are called as grana. So that means the light reaction occurs in these thylakoid membranes in the grana of chloroplast. So that means you can understand where the light reaction is going on. That means what is the place of light reaction, and what is the place of light reaction means we can understand thylakoid membranes of grana of the chloroplast. So actually all these reactions are occurs in chloroplast, that everybody knows, whether it is light reaction or dark reaction. Light reaction and dark reaction, both reactions are you can observe in the chloroplast only. But particularly if you go for light reaction is there in the thylakoid membranes of the grana. Okay, so I already told, that means you can understand where the light reaction is going on. That means what is the place of light reaction we can understand. Now my point is how this light is absorbed. How the light is absorbed. Light reaction can divide three steps. One is light absorbing. So how the light is trapping, or how the light is capturing by the pigments which are there in the chloroplast. And the second thing is how these light energy converts, or how this light energy going into the several steps. That is the second step. And the third one is, and what are, that means end products of the light reaction. These are the three steps we can see in the steps in the light reaction. So the first one is how the light is absorption. How the light is absorption means I already told you, in the plants there is a special light harvesting complexes are there. So these LHC is nothing but light harvesting complexes. So light harvesting complexes means these light harvesting complexes are absorbing the light energy from the sun. So how these light harvesting complexes are formed? My question is how these light harvesting complexes are formed. Actually these light harvesting complexes are two light harvesting complexes you can see in the photosystems. So which are arranged in two photosystems, that is called two light harvesting complexes. So what are the light harvesting complexes means the combination of chlorophyll pigments are some of chlorophyll pigments are other pigments like xanthophylls or carotenoids. So all these pigments are togetherly joined and arranged in a particular thing. These are called light harvesting complexes. So what is called light harvesting complexes means light absorption. You already knew that light absorbing only can do by the pigments of the leaves. So the pigments are together formed and arranged in a particular matter, that is called light harvesting complexes. So these light harvesting complexes are two. We can see two types of light harvesting complexes in this light reaction. So these are called as photosystems. That one is called photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So photosystem 1, what is called photosystem 1 means the light harvesting. That means at the time of 680 nanometer of wavelength. That means 680 nanometer of wavelength means you can have an idea, that is about red color. So red color of light, whenever the red color of light falls on the leaves, that is called photosystem 1. This is photosystem 1 and this is called photosystem 2. That I will explain you coming slide. So you can understand, that means you can understand what is called LHC, light harvesting complexes. So light harvesting complexes means, I told you, for the light absorption, that means for absorbing the light from the sun, chlorophyll pigments are together formed as a light harvesting complexes. So these light harvesting complexes are two, you can see in the plants. One is LHC1 and second one is LHC2. In other words, we can say that photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. And the second one, antennae. So here all these chlorophyll pigments are formed in a special system that is called antennae. What is called antennae means all these chlorophyll pigments or other pigments we can see in the plants. We already knew that some of the pigments are very essential for the process photosynthesis. That pigments you already knew that chlorophyll, xanthophylls and carotenoids. So that all the pigments are formed as a system which is for the light absorbing for the photosystems. For light absorption, all these chlorophyll pigments are formed as a special structure or special system. That one is called as antennae. What is called antenna means antenna is nothing but system which formed by the chlorophyll pigments for absorbing the light from the sun. That is called antennae. So you can understand by this small photograph. So you can see here green color, some green color is there now. So I will explain you. See, so these green color, particularly these green color small drop like structures are there. These are called chlorophyll pigments. So these chlorophyll pigments are togetherly formed. That means all chlorophyll pigments are together formed as a antennae. So this antennae, what is the role of antennae means for absorbing the light from the sun. So I already told you in the light reaction, the first step is absorbing the light. So how the light is absorbing means there is a special system is there, light harvesting complexes. In these light harvesting complexes, all these chlorophyll pigments are together formed as a group of chlorophyll pigments are together formed as an antenna system which absorbs the light from the sun. This is called antennae. So after absorbing the light, yes. So after absorbing the light, so that light has to be useful in the plants. That light has to be converts, or that light has to be go for the next step or several steps or chemical reactions. So that centers are called as photoreaction centers. Photoreaction centers means whenever the light enters into the chlorophyll or chloroplast, so after the light enters into the chlorophyll, some actions to be done. So that actions, that centers are generally called as photoreaction centers. So actually for the photoreaction centers, we already that actually in the photosynthesis two photosystems are there. One is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. That's what photoreaction centers also two separate reaction centers are there for the photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So in the photoreaction centers, the photosystem 1 is nothing but this is the photosystem 1 and the second one is photosystem 2. Photosystem 1 is nothing but Phi 700 nm. 700 nm means 700 nanometer of wavelength. That means the system which involves the 700 nanometer of wavelength of the light, that is called photosystem 1. And photosystem 2 means the system which involves 680 nanometer of wavelength, that is called as photosystem 2. You understand it? So in this slide I clearly explain you that light reaction goes in several steps from the light absorption to light usage. So first one is light absorption. For the light absorption, the plants having a special complexes that is called LHC, light harvesting complexes. So these light harvesting complexes are having a special system that is called antennae. What is called antennae means all the chlorophyll pigments are together formed and all these chlorophyll pigments are together formed and which are helpful for absorbing the sunlight, that is called antennae. So after absorbing the sunlight, the light has to be due for several actions. That centers are called as reaction centers. These are called photoreaction centers. These photoreaction centers are two, you can see in the plants, that is called, one is photosystem 1 and the second one is photosystem 2. Photosystem 1 can occur at the wavelength of 700 nanometers, and the photosystem 2 occurs at 680 nanometer of wavelength, that is called photosystem 2. And the next one is after light absorption. So light absorption is we have an idea how the light is absorbing or how the light is trapping by the chlorophyll pigments. We have an idea in the last slide, but my point is, after light absorption, after light trapping, what the light is doing, that means how the light is converts into the energy. That's my question. So the second one is, the second step in the light reaction is called as photolysis of water. Whenever the light enters into the chlorophyll, chlorophyll is getting activated. Getting activated means some of the electrons are far away from the nucleus. So whenever the chlorophyll is activated, some of the electrons are far away from the nucleus, means that electrons are jumped into the last orbital. That means it is going to be reduction. That means you have an idea what is called oxidation and reduction. That I will explain you in the next class or next slide. So the second step in the light reaction is called as photolysis of water. Photo means light, lysis is nothing but breakdown. So breakdown of water in the presence of light is called photolysis of water. It is generally called as hydrolysis. So this is the second step in the light reaction. So that means we can have an idea in the light reaction water is using. So what we are using in the light reaction means, in the earlier slide we explained you light absorbing. So light is using, and the second one is water is using, and the third one is entire this process occurs in the chloroplast of the leaves. That means chlorophyll pigments are involved. That means out of these four important factors in the photosynthesis, that chlorophyll, water and light, these three factors are already used in this particular light reaction. So in this particular light reaction, the second one is photolysis of water. So photolysis of water means, I already told you. So where it is takes place, my question is, photolysis of water means, you have, okay sir, photolysis of water means water breakdowns into protons and oxygen. That's okay, but what is the place of photolysis of water? I already told you that photo means light absorbing by the chlorophyll pigments. Chlorophyll pigments are located in the thylakoid membranes of the grana. You have an idea. So that means the photolysis of water can occur thylakoid inner membranes of grana. You have an idea. So what is the place of photolysis of water means, photolysis of water occurs in inner membranes of grana. That means thylakoid membrane only. So in the thylakoid membrane, that means in the third layer of grana, the third layer of chloroplast, the photolysis of water process is being done. So in this photolysis of water, what it release? You already knew that. So this is called photolysis of water. You already knew that oxygen is released. That means you have an idea. Oxygen is released from the water. Oxygen is released from the water in the presence of light. That is called photolysis of water. That means from the plants by the process photosynthesis, oxygen is evolved. That oxygen evolving complex is nothing but OEC. OEC is nothing but oxygen evolving complex. That oxygen evolved in the presence of light, that is called as photolysis of water. Okay, so my point is, you already know that photosynthesis process, two systems are there. One is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So photosystem 1 means it is about P 700 nanometer. Photosystem 2 means it is 680 nanometer of wavelength. So oxygen evolving complex connects with 680 nanometers, because that is the starting wavelength of light, 680 nanometers. So at the wavelength of 680 nanometer of photosynthesis 2, the oxygen is evolved from the water. So that means you have an idea that oxygen evolving complex is familiar to connect, that means familiar to photosystem 2. You have an idea by this small equation. Yes. So whenever that the H2O is nothing but, you have an idea, H2O is nothing but what we have. H2O is, yes, H2O is nothing but, you know that, water. 1 minute. Yeah. H2O is nothing but water. You have an idea. Yes, H2O is nothing but water. Whenever water small, yeah. So okay, so water, that means water breakdowns into protons, oxygen and electrons. So during this photolysis of water, apart from the oxygen, 4 electrons and 4 protons are evolved. So these 4 electrons and 4 protons are helpful in the next reactions in the photosynthesis. But whereas this oxygen is evolved in the that means the oxygen is releasing outside from the plant in this particular process. So that is called oxygen evolving complex. So in the oxygen evolving complex, you have an idea that that means during the time of light, that water breakdowns into oxygen and other protons and electrons that are hydrogens, that means protons and electrons are involved in the next reactions in the photosystem 2 or photosystem 1. But whereas this oxygen is released outside from the plant, this is called photolysis of water. So you can understand what is the end product of this photolysis of water or light reaction means. You have an idea. Yes, oxygen is released by this process. This is called photolysis of water. My point is, apart from the oxygen, protons and electrons also involved. That protons and electrons are involved in the next coming reactions in the light reaction that we can explain you clearly. So apart from that, so that water is released from that water is converted into oxygen, protons and electrons. This process was observed by Robert Hill. So that is the major reason this reaction also called as Hill's reaction. So this reaction also called as Hill's reaction. That's what I mentioned you in the last one. Light reaction was discovered by Robert Hill. So it was called as Hill's reaction. So next one is, before we are going to explain the electron transport. So in the photosynthesis mechanism, I clearly explained you 3 steps. One is light absorption, and the second one is after the light absorbing, the second portion is photolysis of water. In the photolysis of water, apart from the oxygen, electrons and protons are evolved. So how these protons and how these electrons are involved in the next process, that is called electron transport. How these electrons are transported from these photosystem 2 to photosystem 1. You knew that that electrons and protons are evolved or released from the photosystem 2, which is there in the photolysis of water. I already told you in the last slide, photolysis of water can occur photosystem 2, that is in 680 nanometer of wavelength. So that means that electrons and hydrogens are started from the photosystem 2. That were released from the photosystem 2. Understand? So before I am going to explain this electron transport, I am going to give a small clarification regarding this oxidation and reduction. So what is called oxidation and reduction? So oxidation is nothing but adding of oxygen molecules for anything, that is called oxidation. Reduction means oxygen molecules are removing. This is the major difference between the oxidation and reduction. Adding oxygen molecules, removing oxygen molecules, this is the major difference. So except this one, that removing hydrogen ions or removing electrons from the molecules, this is you can see in the oxidation. In the reduction, adding hydrogen ions, adding electrons from the molecules, this is called a reduction. So you have an idea what is the difference, what is the major difference between oxidation and reduction means. In the point of protons or in the point of electrons, removing electrons from the molecules is nothing but oxidation. If the electrons are added for the molecules, that is called reduction. So that's what I am saying, that chlorophyll molecule is getting activated by the solar energy, because whenever the light energy traps or whenever the light energy falls on the chlorophyll molecules, that electrons in the chlorophyll molecules are jumped into the last orbital and it is go away from the nucleus. That is called activated chlorophyll, that I already explained you in the oxidation, that means in the last slide. This is the major difference between the oxidation and reduction. So how these electron transports, my question is how these electron transport from the photosystem 2 to photosystem 1 and next dark reactions. So I already told you, the first one is chlorophyll pigment is activated, and after the chlorophyll pigment activated in the photolysis of water, that chlorophyll A is absorbing the sunlight and release some protons and some electrons, which is from the photosystem 2. So that means electron transport starts from the photosystem 2, because from in the photosystem 2 only that electrons and photons are released at the stage of photolysis of water. That is the reason that electron transport starts from photosystem 2. That means in the wavelength of 680 nanometers. So yeah, after releasing of protons or electrons, so that electrons has to be added with some of the molecules. That means those we call as receptors. Receptors means the molecules are something, the substance which are accepting the electrons, those are called as receptors. What are receptors means, you know that what is called donor and what is called receptor. Donor is nothing but the substance or the molecule or some anything which are donating something, those are called as donors. Whereas acceptors or receptors means the substance or some molecules which are receiving anything from them, from some others, that is called acceptors. Here some of the electron acceptors are there, because I already told you some electrons are evolved in the photolysis of water. That electrons has to be received by one of the factors. Those electron acceptors are in the particular photosynthesis are NAD, NADP, cytochromes, plastoquinones, ferredoxins are generally called as electron acceptors or electron receptors. This is a common question in the competitive examinations particularly. So what are the electron receptors? You can see in the photosynthesis means you have an idea. NAD, NADP or ADP, cytochromes, plastoquinones, ferredoxins, all these substances are called as electron receptors or electron acceptors. So these are the electron acceptors we can see in the okay. Now how this electron transport is going on, my point is what I am going to explain is how these electron transported from photosystem 2 to other reactions. I already told you that electrons are firstly evolved from the photosystem 2, because this is 680 nanometer of wavelength. I already told you 680 nanometer of wavelength. Whenever the light is falls on 600 nanometer of wavelength from the light, so when the light is falls on this light harvesting complex, that chlorophyll pigments are getting activated and some of the electrons are released out from these LHC, light harvesting complex, or chlorophyll molecules, and these electrons are evolved like this, and these electrons are receiving by some electron receptors like ADP or cytochromes or flastoquinones, some electron receptors are there. Whenever the electron receptors are receiving from the LHC photosystem 2, and that electron receptors are go away from the electron transport to the LHC PS1. You understand first? So that my first point is, from the photosystem 2, some electrons are evolved, some electrons are released because of hydrolysis of water, some electrons are evolved. Some electrons are evolved means that has to be received by some of the electron receptors. So here some electron receptors are nothing but cytochromes. So cytochromes are receiving the electrons, and these electrons are transported from these photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, because after 680 nanometer, and the second one is light harvesting complex 2, that is called photosystem 1. So whenever the electrons are enters into the photosystem 1, whenever the electrons enters into the photosystem 1, you please understand clearly, when the light falls on the photosystem 1, electrons are released and electrons are received by the some of the electron receptors, and these electrons are transported to PS1, that is called photosystem 1. Now whenever the electrons are enters into the photosystem 1, it is getting activated, and apart from that, during the time of photosystem 2, it is also releasing some electrons. So that electrons has to be sent again to the electron receptors. So you have an idea. So that means electrons are evolved from the photosystem 1, and which is transported through electron transport to photosystem 1, and again photosystem 1 also releasing some electrons to the electron receptors. So here what are the electron receptors means you have an idea. Cytochromes, peridoxins, I already told you some electron receptors. So those are the electron receptors. So photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, that means the electrons are fast away. The electrons are after releasing the electrons from the photosystem 2, which is releasing into the upside movement, that means upside movement. When after that, which the electrons are coming into the down movement, that is called photosystem 1. Again in the photosystem 1, the electrons are releasing, that is also in the upward direction. So which is nothing but a Z-shaped structure. So which is nothing but a Z-shaped structure. How can we say that means which is nothing but a Z-shaped structure? That's what it is called as Z-scheme or Z-path. The passage of electron transport in the photosystem 2 to photosystem 1 is nothing but is similar to the Z-scheme or Z-pathway. That's what we are called as, this is called as Z-scheme. This is called as Z-scheme. So what is Z-scheme means you have an idea. So whenever the light falls on photosystem 1, that electrons are evolved during the time of photolysis of water, that electrons are releasing outside, that means which are moving towards the upside. This is called upside, towards the upside. So that electrons are received by the electron receptors, and again which is sent to which enters into the photosystem 1, and photosystem 1 getting activated by the LHC2, that means light harvesting system complexes 2 or photosystem 2. Photosystem 2, that is called Z-scheme. So what is called Z-scheme means Z-scheme in the light reaction is very important, because the electron transport, the transport of electrons is nothing but in the way of Z-scheme, that is called light reaction in the Z-scheme. So this is called Z-scheme in the light reaction. You have an idea. So here some of the points I have to explain here. So PS2, from the photosystem 2, electrons are jumped into the photosystem 1, and again photosystem 1 2, that electrons are releasing outside. So that electrons are receiving some electron receptors. Here electron receptors are nothing but one is ADP or NADP. Whenever ADP catches the electrons or protons, it is converts into the ATP. What is called ATP means, you know, that adenosine triphosphate. Apart from that, whenever these electrons are released outside or protons are released outside, these protons and electrons are received by the some of the electron receptors like NADP also. So NADP is nothing but nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide hydrogen phosphate. So what we can understand here, after receiving the electrons, that ADP converts into ATP. ADP converts into ATP, and the second one is NADP converts into the NADPH. NADP converts into the NADPH. So we can understand here ATP, NADPH also one of the end products in the Z scheme light reaction. So that is only I am saying. So this is the light screen. So that light reaction, that Z scheme is nothing but the electron transport is looks like a Z path. It is it transport, that means the electron transport is nothing but from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, that is in the similar to the Z. So that's what it is called as Z scheme. So in this photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, the electrons are released from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1 and moves from there. That is called as Z scheme. And apart from that, whenever the electrons are received by the NADP or ATP, which forms as ATP and NADPH, which are called as end products of the light reaction. NADPH and ATP are the end products of the light reaction. So apart from that, you can understand here how this ATP was formed. How the ATP was formed means whenever the ADP connects with one proton, which is nothing but ATP. So ADP means adenosine diphosphate, which is having two phosphates only. So the two phosphates of ADP connects with one phosphate or one proton from the PS1, photosystem 1, that is called ATP. So here ATP is one of the end products in the light reaction. Apart from that, NADP plus H plus. NADP means, I already told you, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Whenever the NADP connects with hydrogen protons, how the hydrogen protons are evolved means, I already told you, in the photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, these hydrogen ions and electrons are evolved. So these protons are connects with NADP and forms as a NADPH. So NADPH also one of the end products in the light reactions. So we can understand here in this particular light reactions or Z scheme. So the entire process, which is from the PS2 to PS1, which is upward and downward direction, that's what it is called as Z scheme. So in this light reaction, what I am going to explain you is, so before I am going to conclude this topic, I am going to explain you very clearly that in this light reaction, here three processes are involved. One is light absorption, light should be absorbed, and the second thing is light should be utilized, and that light should be utilized means the water is utilizing the light. So that means photolysis of water, that is the second step. And the third one is electron transport. So whenever the water breakdowns into the oxygen, some of the electrons and protons are released. Some electrons and protons also released means that has to be used in the Z scheme, that is called as Z scheme. We already explained here. So by entire the light reaction, what are the major products are released means ATP is the ATP, NADPH and oxygen are the end products in the light reaction. So here oxygen is evolved outside from the plant in the light reaction. During the time of daytime, oxygen is evolved from the plant, there is no doubt. But whereas NADPH and ATP are involved in the next process, that is called as after the light there is a dark. So after light absent, when that means after light absent, there is a second reaction is called as dark reaction. So in the dark reaction, this ATP and NADPH are assimilatory products in the coming classes, that is called as dark reaction. So in the light reaction, what factors are involved means, you already knew that chlorophyll pigments are involved here, and the second one is water is involved in the second step, that is called photolysis of water. And the third one is water, chlorophyll. Apart from that, light also usage in this particular light reaction. That's what in this light reaction, among the four major factors, the three factors are already involved, and only one factor has to be involved, that is called in the dark reaction. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any doubts, please post in the comment box. Thank you very much.